Olympic medalist, European champion and World Cup star. That's just some of the titles we can call our Irish females these days. Over the coming weeks, we're going to shine a spotlight on the untold stories that took our country's elite to the very top of the world stage.
I'm Kayleigh Trappe and this is talkSPORT Ireland's MNAsplaining.
Joining us today is one of our most successful Paralympians. After winning bronze at the Rio Games and gold in Tokyo, she is now retired from swimming and is here to tell us all about it. I am delighted to have Ellen Keane in the hot seat today.
Woohoo! Hello.
You're going to have a yap with Trappe.
Yeah. That's what the name of the show should be.
I know. You hear, people, you hear?
Yeah.
I love a pun. Sure, I'd be keen for a pun, so I would.
No, you're going to be full of dad jokes.
I am.
That's why you got the job.
Yeah.
They were like, we need someone who's quick on her feet.
That's it.
Hey!
Up the quick step.
You.
What's the crack today, Ellen? How are you? How was your morning? What's your PPS number?
I was a little bit late today, I won't lie, and I'll tell you why.
You're a woman after my own heart.
Really distracted playing with my dog.
Oh, what type of dog have you got?
I have 2 miniature Dachshunds, but like one of them is like, he'll like come over and bring his toy and look at you and you'll be like, I'm getting ready, but okay.
And
okay.
Do you have him like, I suppose with your background, do you have him like well trained? Or you like, does there rules and everything involved? Or you just let him at it?
No. I got Denny in lockdown, so he's a bit of a lockdown dog.
I love the name after the sausage.
Yeah, really original. You'll meet so many sausage dogs now and you'll be like, oh my God, what's its name? All the names are Denny. And yeah, he just is like a bit of a socially anxious dog because of lockdown.
Like myself then, so?
Yeah. And yeah, like he gets away with everything. He's my baby. And then I got Rafa 2 years later because I was like, I'll get my dog a dog and therefore that dog won't get lonely anymore.
Yes, that's what I say for kids as well.
Yeah. No, they have different personalities. So like Rafa will just be asleep and Danny will still follow me around and be like, play with me. So I had to give in today since I left him at home. Yeah,
I'd say it's a fair commitment having a dog. Like I'm thinking about getting one, but I'm not too sure if. But then what about like, I know you were actually away on your travels there. What did you do? Or did you just throw them over to the parents?
My parents take them. I have a big enough family that people will take them.
Yes. Funny, we actually have something in common. I noticed that we both have 2 brothers and a sister. I think, is that right?
Yes.
And I'm the youngest of 4.
Oh,
you?
yeah. I think we're the same age as well. Right?
1995. What month?
April. I'm 30
October.
on Sunday.
What are you doing? Oh, please tell me you're having a 30th. And can I come?
Going. If you want to.
I will not say no to that.
I'm going to Disneyland with my boyfriend. I didn't really want a big party. I just was like, I want to do something really childish.
You're really throwing all the other boyfriends under the bus there with that one. That is exceptional. Have you been before?
I have, yeah. But like Max is organising it and I know he's just going to go do something ridiculous. So I'm very excited.
But you had to go back to Paris.
Back to Paris.
I say it was far from Disneyland. You were at. Was it fun? It was your last one, am I right? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a weird one because like I knew I was going to retire. So like, I don't know. I think I was like so far removed as it was like kind of going into the games, and like that's why I was retiring because like the passion wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just kind of like dot the I, cross the T, and just finish it out
and go out with a bang almost.
Yeah. And then like being the flag bearer, that kind of was a medal for me. Like I knew the chances of winning a medal like were there, but like also anything could happen, and then I did come fourth by 0.19 I think it was.
The lights.
And then I got out of the pool, right? So like I came fourth. I was like, yeah, fair enough. Like the passion wasn't there. I understand how I did come fourth, and I kind of was able to understand it straight away. And then I came out and went into the mix zone, and like this woman came up to me straight away. She was a reporter, and she was like, Ellen, how did it feel to win a bronze medal? And I was like, well, I came fourth. And then I walked away. I was like, I'm not even going to give you the time of day. Like, come on, watch the end of the race.
That's the day she lost her job. Like, I suppose you won the gold when it was still COVID times. So what was the difference there between the, like, could you have your family there and different things like that? And did you want to do Paris to kind of have a different experience again?
Yeah, like Tokyo for me was like everything was just perfect. Like it just came together, and it was like athletes talk about peak performance and the best performance they've ever had and working towards it, and that was Tokyo for me. So Paris it was just about finishing in a full stadium. Like, I didn't really need a full stadium in Tokyo. And I remember walking out on day one and just seeing the stadium for the first time and the empty seats. And I was just like so grateful that no one was going to be in there, because it was so intimidating. Whereas Paris was so cool. It was so different because the pool was put into a rugby stadium.
Oh, wow.
And the seats kind of came down onto the floor, whereas usually at a swimming pool, the seats are in a stand. So literally, like, you could get out of the pool and like talk to your family members straight away. Like, I got to hug my boyfriend straight away when I finished. So that was really, really special. And it wasn't as intimidating. It was just really intimate.
I was going to say, like, what does it feel? Like, do you let the idea of everyone watching you in, or are you in a totally different mind? Like, what is your mindset going into a race in any of the Olympics? And with the one that you won, were you fairly sure this is it?
I kind of go in the same way every time, and I think with Paris I did it a little bit different because I knew it was my last one. So I usually wear headphones, the headphones you saw me walk in.
Yes, with. I hear you like to listen to Eminem.
I do, yes.
Can we have a rendition?
No. So I usually have my headphones on. I usually like to block out the sound and just kind of focus on myself. And for Paris, like my final race, I walked out without my headphones on and just enjoyed the crowd, because like I'm never going to experience that again. Like, that's such a weird thing that is not normal. And I allowed myself to enjoy it. But yeah, usually like I'm in the zone. I have my headphones on. I don't let people distract me.
That's amazing. It's good. It's like, I always look, even I was doing the show with Reese and Jack, and the different type of things that they had to keep them calm, keep them cool, even before going out for dancing. And I was like, oh, they obviously got this from the Olympics. And I was like, I was just the hyper child with, like, in the background trying to do sing-alongs, whereas Reese would be sitting listening to a podcast or reading talkSPORT or Atomic Habits. And I was just like, it's amazing the mindset he's in.
Yeah, but Reese is like a different breed.
I suppose, yeah, Reese is like his own kettle of fish. Like, he's just his own man. But like, I find it mad that you probably had similar experiences where you had a way of getting yourself into the zone as well.
Yeah, well, actually, like for me, the show, like Dancing with the Stars, for me was just about having fun and making friends.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really think too much about winning. I just wanted to make it to the final. And as you know, like it's just about wearing the outfits and doing all of the dances.
Yeah.
So for me, like, me and Stephen were like the best of friends. And our like routine before we went out to dance, we'd be playing like tag in the background. Like, we'd be like, oh,
2E masters.
Yeah.
We were the same. We were like 2E just all the time, and people used to always be like, will you settle down? And you know, you used to get messages saying, are you nervous? It must be so tense backstage. And I was like, oh, it's far from it. Like, it's the height of crack. And Stephen as well, I know him so well now, and he's such a lovely gentleman. Like, he couldn't almost be nervous, I'm sure, going out on to play.
He's so sweet, isn't he? Like, he's so cute.
Tell me about this term now. What have you got to say for nunny up?
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. When I saw that he was dancing with Garode, I was like, oh my God, it's the end of Nunny Up. You can't say it anymore.
Explain this to the listeners, Ellen, because I was chatting to Stephen about it last night, and he just said, ask Ellen, Nunny Up. I was like, okay.
It actually doesn't paint him in a good light. So I don't know why he wanted.
Well. I was like, are you sure? Do I give consent?
So basically for ballroom, the kind of framing of ballroom, you have the guy's leg in between your leg, and then you have to tilt your pelvis in towards him. But like, as a reminder, Stephen would always just say nunny up, as in like, I think it's self-explanatory. I want you to tilt your vagina towards me so we can get into the perfect frame.
Did it work?
Well, we got to the final, so apparently.
Well, why fix something that's not broke? I used to laugh.
Ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think it's so funny with ballroom, especially. It's so deceiving watching it. Everyone's just like, oh, you're just floating around the room. And I was always like,
It's so hard.
It's so hard. You have things like nunny up and fleckles and whatever else, and the hole itself.
And the shoes.
And the shoes.
Awful. Like, I don't actually think the male pro dancers or the male celebrities understand how much more difficult it is for the women.
But to be fair, did you see the heel they have as well?
Yeah, but they're thick.
One of them, yeah.
They're thick.
Yeah,
like the little Latin shoes are so dainty that you'd be falling over the place.
That being said, I did contemporary in my bare feet and it was still useless. So I don't know if the heels are the problem with me.
I did contemporary in your bare feet and then you're sweating. I couldn't stop sweating. And for my show dance, I did. You did barefoot for your?
I
did.
Dance, no, I didn't. I had to wear ballroom.
Oh, okay.
Because I had a bit of Latin in it as well, but I didn't really mind, to be honest, because my barefoot one wasn't great. So I was like, oh, I'll wear whatever. But I saw your show dance. I saw all your dances, and it was incredible.
My show dance, because it was barefoot, like, because you do the dance before and then you do your show dance afterwards. But I was still sweating so much from my first dance that I was like trying to make my feet not sweaty. And I was putting, like, do you know that stuff, that stuff that they put in your hair, the powdered, the textured stuff. Yeah. I was putting that on my feet to try and get some grip onto my feet and spraying my feet with hairspray to try and make it sticky. Yeah. Like, I was so desperate, but I just kept slipping. You
probably had the trails of sweat along the floor and then people to clean it up after you.
Yeah. Because, like, the first time me and Stephen did a contemporary, he slipped and ended up hurting his toe and was bleeding.
In the real show?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, not in the real show, in the dress rehearsals. So he had to then put shoes on.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so, like, it is hard.
It is tough work. I know, don't underestimate it. And we still both lost.
Yeah.
But I hear you came second, did you? Or something like that. I don't know. Because I was like, how did she find out? I want to know. Oh, damn.
This is just some random person decided to write that I came second. But like, all of us came second.
Yeah, let's just pretend that we both came second.
No, because I don't want Erica and Jordan to come for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we can't say that. We love you, Erica and Jordan. So let's go way back, because I've fast forwarded about 20 years there to the beginning of Ellen Keane. You grew up in a house with a loving family. I hear you had a lovely childhood. What was it like before you knew that swimming was going to be your thing?
Like, I was just a bit of a mad child, like, as thankfully a lot of, like, kids are who are happy. And I just did a bit of everything. Like, I did a bit of hip hop, I did a bit of football, I did a bit of swimming, and then it kind of got to the point where I was doing hip hop and swimming at the same time, and I had to choose. So, like, I actually did, like, competitive hip hop. Like, I know I did Dancing with the Stars, but hip hop and Dancing with the Stars are not the same.
It's thing. Like Tasha Glory over here.
Yeah, I know. I could do the worm.
Oh wow, I can't.
Well, during the show, I just kept being like, come on, Stephen, let me do it. Just let me do it. And he was like, we need to wait. It's your party trick. We need to wait. Because that was the only thing that I could bring to the show. But I had to choose then at some point between dancing and swimming. And then I ended up choosing swimming. Yeah. Purely because I think it goes back to, like, the visualization thing. Like, I think I actually prefer dancing, but I couldn't see how I would make a career out of dancing as a disabled person. Really? And I could see the Paralympics and I could see that there was an option there. So that's actually why I chose swimming. It wasn't because I loved swimming more. It's because I could see a path there, whereas with dancing I couldn't.
Yeah, because I was listening to your audiobook and you were saying, like, it made no difference with, you know, a swimsuit, goggles and a hat and a pool essentially, and there was no extra equipment or anything that you needed. So it was probably easier, I suppose, to go down the background of swimming, was it, at that time?
I don't know if I would say easier. It's just like the visibility thing. Like, if you can see it, you can be it and dream it. Yeah. And that's why, like, visibility is so important. But even like now, like, I would, like, that's like the power of social media now, because you can see those things, even though they mightn't be on the telly, you can see them on, like, TikTok or Instagram. And, like, even with the training that I was doing, like, in the gym, I would use an airplane seatbelt and a like a pulley, an ankle attachment for a pulley machine on my arm so that I could lift weights. And I learned that from watching someone on Instagram do it. Wow. Yeah.
And were those, like, pieces of equipment, were they always accessible everywhere, or were you ever frustrated by maybe places that didn't have things that you needed, or even for other Paralympians as well? Do you find in the society we live in now that it's easy to navigate?
It's not easy to navigate, and it comes, like, it has to come from you. You have to figure it out yourself and then trial and error yourself. Because, like, I would have to bring everything with me. I wouldn't be able to rely on a gym. And, like, that's kind of just the reality. Like, a lot of things aren't accessible. A lot of things won't have the equipment. But then again, like, each disabled person is different and they have different needs. And the problem there is, like, maybe we should like be helping this disabled people figure out what they need and then help them get it, rather than making sure that every gym has it, because it is then an expense for every gym.
Absolutely. And I suppose maybe it might be a hard thing for people to speak up about as well, because they might not want to burden people with having to do extra work or get extra bits.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that you yourself are an advocate for it, and like you're using your social media, you're using your platform to like speak on behalf. Do you feel like that you'd be able to work with different companies and kind of bring that out for to be a voice for other people?
Yeah, and like, but it is difficult, like, and it is kind of like a heavy burden to carry as well. So I try and do a bit. I don't think I do enough, but I don't think I could do enough, because I think it would be too much. And like a lot of what I was doing as well, I was doing while I was being a full-time athlete. And like, you have the expectation and the weight and the emotions and the energy that comes with that. And then trying to be an advocate as well. It can get too much. And thankfully, like, there are a lot more people coming through on social media who are just like actually better at that. And I'm like, yay, fill the space.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone has to do their part. Which that's amazing. And you're definitely doing your bit. Like, I admire everything you're doing. It's fantastic, and I'm sure so many other people do. It's going back as a 13-year-old, I was still doing cool camps.
I did a cool camp.
Did you do?
Yeah.
Where'd you get the time? Oh my goodness.
I did a cool camp when I was like maybe 8 or 9.
What?
Yeah, in Scullyconnell.
Okay, yeah, Scullyconnell. That's where you went to school. And
no. It was my football club.
Oh, was it your football club?
Yeah.
You were doing GA at the same time.
Yeah. And everyone just wanted to do the cool camp for the bag.
Yeah, that was it. The school bag. I used to be a teacher, and it used to be an absolute nightmare trying to differentiate between all the school bags. But I was like, I get them, they're class. Yeah. So you did a cool camp. Fair play to you. I thought I had that one on. Damn it! I thought I had that one in the bag, in the cool camp bag.
Overachieving child.
God almighty. But so at 13, what were you doing with yourself?
I went to my first Paralympics. I went to Beijing when I was 13. But in May of that year, so the games were in August, September, but in May of that year my appendix burst, like right before my end of year exams in first year, and I was in hospital for a week. So my appendix burst, I ended up getting an ambulance to Temple Street, and literally I remember being in the ambulance being like, I'm not going to Beijing. Like, I'm literally on the way.
Turnover in time before you were going?
Like 3 months.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's quick.
Yeah. But I also, so like my appendix burst and they didn't get it all out in time, and I ended up going gangrene. So I was then in hospital for a week for them trying to like fix me. And then I wasn't allowed to swim for like 3-4 weeks. Really? Maybe. Yeah, so I was out of the pool because I had like to heal. But then I got, and my parents bought an exercise bike, and that's like how I kept up my fitness, and I got gym equipment. But my mom only just recently replaced that exercise bike, because like once I finished with it I never used it again. My mom would use it every single day.
Go on,
would
mom.
like cycle like 12k every day,
it
and
runs
like,
in the family.
I know, she even like was like, I love it so much I need to replace it.
Someone call Irish Fit Fam, you'll be on that next. Amazing. So because I always wonder if injuries or say procedures come into play, like how does an athlete be okay and confident with the fact that I have to take a break from this, especially so close to the games? Like, I would be panicking massively, like even with the show. Like one day I hurt my toe and it was like one day out and I was still panicking. So like, how did you deal with, or especially at such a young, like you were 13, were you?
Well, I didn't really understand. And I think that's the benefit of being a kid, is that like you can heal quickly. And I'm fortunate enough not to have had to deal with too much injury in my career. The only thing that I really did struggle with was like, there's a thing called swimmer's shoulder. So it's repetition, overuse of whatever your shoulder, and cause like I have a different body to other swimmers, and I was swimming with coaches who hadn't necessarily worked with someone like me before, so they would give me the same sort of sets and the same work as the other athletes, which is fine in theory, but they weren't making any adaptations. So I was overworking my right arm, and I'd get like I had tendonitis in my rotator cuff, and that's like so painful. And as soon as that like starts to come on, like you can't really lift your arm that much. And it was also just because I wasn't doing strength training, and then it was only in so like I only started working with a different coach who had worked with disabled people before in 2013. And it was only then that I actually started a proper gym program. And sure, like I was nearly like 8. How many years in was I? I was like nearly, that's like 6 years after my first games was I actually starting to do proper gym stuff.
Was it a case of strength and conditioning was kind of becoming more of a thing then as well, especially for women? Sometimes I feel like we were kind of not really the priority with that, and you didn't really want to be strong. You didn't want to have muscles and things like that. So it could have been fresh kind of coming in, or maybe it was just the mindset of the coaches that didn't know.
I think it was a bit of both. I think it was also just like the mindset of like swim coaches back then as well. Were just not very good at figuring out what S&C was. Like I had a coach once who you'd be swimming for 2.5 hours in the morning, and then you'd have to go for you'd have to run for like an hour afterwards. And you're like, that's too much.
Just run till you burn out.
Like why? So yeah, and then like it comes with an education thing as well, like of you need to get the calories in.
Yes.
And that's a big thing. That is why people get injured, is because they're not fueling themselves properly. Yeah.
Especially because like they think they're eating enough, but for the amount of exercise you're doing, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and like that's probably the thing that I struggled the most with throughout my career was getting enough calories in. It's so hard.
Was it ever something mentally that you were almost kind of like, I don't want to eat too much either, and I don't know how to fuel myself and maintain my body and whatever else do I need to?
Yeah, I remember because I went to boarding school in England after my junior cert for 2 years, and I remember like I was just eating the food that they were giving me, and I remember my coach being like, you don't have a swimmer's physique, like you need to lose weight. And like, but if you say that to a 15-year-old girl, they're just going to stop eating.
Absolutely.
And like that's the worst thing that you can do. And that's when I started to get really sick all the time, and that's when my injury flared up the most. But like since then, kind of coming home, and then I loved home ec, and just even like learning, like I had a great teacher in the institute, and just even the way she taught home ec, I was like, oh my God, like you really are what you eat, and you get like really into like all the things that you're eating and the benefits of what food can do. And then I realized like the more I was eating, the better I felt, and the more energy I had, and actually the slimmer I became, because like my metabolism was like balanced.
And it was when you weren't even trying to, almost maybe when it wasn't on the brain.
Yeah, and it was almost like when I wasn't eating enough, my body was like in survival mode, so it was hanging on to the weight. But it was when I was eating, I was actually burning more.
And performance wise as well, I'm assuming if you're under fueled, you're not going to hit times and whatever else like you want to, and then you're nearly blaming other things maybe rather than nutrition and sleep and whatever else you need.
So I became like a master of blending my foods.
Okay.
Because oh my God, like when you have to eat, like if you have to eat like 3,000 4,000 calories in a day, it's like a lot of chewing. It's a lot of work. So I would just literally like we had a nutritionist in the institute who would like literally be like, okay, so you get your blender, you get your oats, you get your full fat milk, you get your peanut butter, you get all your nuts,
absolutely,
you get your honey, like and then you get your protein powder, like you get, and then the gainer, you put the gainer in. Like I was like a 19-year-old girl who was drinking gainer every day.
Oh my God,
because I was trying to get the calories in. Like I was trying to get the calories in.
I always dreamt of a day that someone would tell me I have to eat more, or I have to eat more calories.
It's actually so hard to do.
I stare at the tub of peanut butter in my boyfriend's cupboard and I'm like, I wish I had to eat that. But not yet.
It's so funny because like I know when I haven't eaten enough, because I would just be so tired. So like my way of like trying to get the calories in, I'd like go to the shop and buy a bag of donuts and I'd just eat them all. And it's so funny because now that I'm not training as much, like I'm not training at all. I do a run every now and then. And
what's your TikTok? You're not doing too badly now. You're not doing too badly.
I started Pilates, which I really love. Yeah, there's Pilates next door. You should give it a go.
Reformer.
Yeah. I don't have the appetite anymore. Like I could. Like when like it sounds like such a treat to be like, oh, I went to the shop and bought a bag of donuts and ate the whole bag of donuts. I would not be able to do that now. Like it would make me feel sick.
Is it hard to adapt to filling the day, or even nutrition wise, or do you feel like it's never been any different?
No, it's like completely different. It's a weird one because like when you're a full-time athlete, you miss out on a lot, and it doesn't seem like a sacrifice because like you have a purpose, it's all the things that you want to do. And then just kind of like as I was getting older, like missing out on things really did affect me. And that's how I was like, okay, like I need to let it go. So like I had made peace with retirement and I was really ready to retire. And then after Paris, I came home, I did a bit of work with my agent, and then I went traveling for 3 months. And then I kind of only really came home properly in February, and it was so silent. And I was like, oh, this is what retirement.
Silence nearly, and then when you have it, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah. And because since I was probably 8 or 9, I have had like some man making my schedule my whole life. So like to then not have anyone helping me make a schedule, like even like I had, when you retire, Sport Ireland give you kind of like a retirement package in a way, and it's a support so that like you are minded, it isn't cold turkey. And part of that package is that you can still get like psychological help or whatever you need. And I was seeing the psych and just telling her, like, I was like, I can't get out of bed in the morning. Like I just don't see the point in getting out of bed in the morning. And I don't have any energy because I'm not eating, because I don't want to eat, because why am I eating? Because I'm not fueling myself for anything. And it's just a constant cycle that I'm in. And she was like, Ellen, I really want to help you by giving you a schedule, but if I help you by giving you a schedule, I'm actually not helping you. Like you
replacing the last person.
Yeah. She was like, you have to figure this out yourself, but I will give you a goal. And I was like, okay, what's the goal? And she's like, you need to eat 3 meals a day, and you need to exercise, and you need to enjoy yourself. Yeah. Those are the only 3 requirements every day. You need to do those 3 things every day. Find something that will make you happy, eat 3 meals a day, and do a little bit of exercise. And it was just slowly by doing that I started to get a routine.
Yeah. That's like amazing, because I would be the same when I took a break from teaching, or I took a career break. I was like, oh, everything's just going to come now. I'm going to have loads of work flooding in. But when I realised I actually have to be in charge of my own schedule and things like that, I know it's no comparison to the Paralympics, but I was like, wait, what? I don't want to be in charge of my own stuff. I want to be told where to be at what time, and then the small bell rings and that's it. So I like, it is weird to adapt to change, but like you're flying it now, like absolutely.
Well, yes and no. Like I still have times where like last week was a quiet week, and then I just recently moved in with my boyfriend, and last week was a quiet week and he was away, and I was like in the house by myself, and I was like, that's the best thing about the dogs as well. They're like, I have to bring you for a walk.
Absolutely.
I'll have my breakfast when you have your breakfast.
You just mentioned your boyfriend there. I know he's very supportive over what you do. Like, how did you just meet, or has he been he was in Paris?
He was, yes. yeah.
How does he find it, or did he find it all when it was all going on? I thought it was madness, I suppose.
He's been really great. He has like one of his friends was an Olympian, so he kind of knows the scene, and I met him at that Olympian's wedding, so I kind of knew him for about a year before we started dating, so we've been together just over 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And in Paris it was so funny because I won't name the radio station, but it was another radio station that is a rival of this company. They were interviewing him and like a group of friends, and in the group of friends were like the 2 Olympians that I knew. So it said their name, an Olympian, and his name, an Olympian, and then it says Max's name, and it was like Ellen's boyfriend. But it came up on screen, and I like screenshot it. And I
love that. You let him know that anytime you have a fight, it's like, remember, you're just my boyfriend. You live in my footsteps. So going way back, we were talking about school there at the beginning, primary school, and I knew you had mentioned in your book that you had a happy childhood, but whenever it came to secondary school, like, kind of thoughts started to creep in and hormones started to kick in. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, like I think it's the thing that every kid goes through when they're going through puberty, is like the comparison of their bodies and themselves, and wanting to be normal and to fit in and to be like everyone else. And like I really didn't notice my arm or my disability when I was a kid, and it was only I went on a family holiday to America after 6th class, and when I was there I remember being I went to the toilet and I was trying to like figure out how to work the tap, and I couldn't work the tap. And this woman came in and she turned the tap on for me, and she was like, "Oh, don't worry, like we always get shark attacks around here, so we're used to seeing people like that." And I was like, wow, like that was the first time I've ever properly experienced someone addressing my disability with such like shark attack now. And I was like, is that what people think when they see me? And then I just kind of started to notice like people staring a lot more, and I don't know if it was just the culture in Ireland versus the States, where maybe in the States they stare a bit more, but I definitely noticed it. And then when I came home, I couldn't help but notice it.
Right.
And that's when I decided to hide my arm, and it was the only time that like I felt like people weren't staring at me is when I was in sleeves. So I nearly like pretended I had two arms.
Yeah.
And it was so weird because I went to secondary school with loads of girls who were in my primary school, so they all knew I had one arm. And I would just literally pretend I had two arms. So like they all knew, but like I just pretended that they didn't know. And then I went to boarding school after third year, and I was there with a girl who also had one arm, and she was just so free and so like in love with herself and her body, and like I just was like in awe of her, and I was like, I really really want to be like her, but I don't know how to do it. And then I came home from boarding school and I went to the institute, and I just went back into the cycle of hiding my arm again. Yeah
It's like old habits die hard.
so hard. And I think it's just like it's so scary to be brave, and you can't force it. Like you just have to be, whenever you're ready, and it's just back yourself when you're ready.
Did you find reaching out or talking to other people about it, or were you trying to be kind of hidden and keep it to yourself?
Hidden, because like how can, like I didn't know anyone with the same arm as me. Like I knew people from swimming, but like there was nobody in Ireland who was like me, and there was no one in the media who was like me. And it like as much as I was suffering and I knew I should talk to someone, like what were they going to say to me? Oh, it's like a pity thing. Like I just didn't want to be pitied, and I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. So it was just a constant like I'm just gonna hide it and hope like it goes away. And it was kind of only when I started college that I was like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. And I knew that if it's kind of like, do you know when you see someone that you know and you're like, do I know them? I do know them.
Yeah.
I don't know them. Well, I go say hi. And then
that was like me seeing you at the Gossies a few years back, and I didn't. I chickened out of it.
Oh no.
I was so scared of you.
But like enough time passes where you're like, okay, the time, it's too much time has passed now. We can't acknowledge each other. Yeah. That's kind of how I felt. Like too much time has passed now. I can't acknowledge the fact that I have one arm. So like day one of college, I was like, I just need to get on with this and just do it. And that was kind of it. Like,
could that be down to maturity as well? And I suppose as you get older, I know with me, I thought I was so self-aware when I was younger, but it wasn't until I kind of hit late teens, early 20s that I was like, oh no, okay, now I get things a little bit more, maybe.
But I just, school can be such a scary place. And like I know you were a teacher, but even like I remember going into like secondary schools to do talks, and they're so scary.
Oh my goodness. This is hence why I was a primary teacher, not a secondary one. Oh God, I'm like, my cutoff point's 12 years old. I'm too afraid of the rest of them.
And like you go in and you're all confident when you walk into secondary schools, and then you leave and you question everything.
Yeah. Have you ever asked them, has anyone got a question? And not one hand goes up, and you're like, okay, well, I'll ask myself a question.
But adults do that too.
Yes,
adults do that too. But I think when you go to college, like there's just something about college, like no one cares anymore. And that's kind of where I felt the safety. And it was funny, like, because one of the first people I started talking to, he actually knew another Paralympian, and like you don't realize the people who actually know other disabled people or anything that you're struggling with. Like there's a lot of people who know people like that or are going through it themselves. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word disabled there. This is actually a question I have, because as a teacher, and when I was studying, they kind of encourage us not to use the word disabled, because they were saying that implies that they're not able. But I hear you're very much like, when I hear you talking, you're very much for it, and you're like an advocate for the word. And I was like, is it a word that is okay to use? And like, do people ever take offence by that? Like,
it's an identity thing. Yeah. And it's really weird for me as well, because like if I have a coat on or sleeves on, like it's not obvious that I have a disability. So I don't have any like very few mobility requirements. So like for me, I was always told I'm not disabled enough. And yeah, I'd always be told I'm not disabled enough. Like I have so many stories of like just being told, no, you're not disabled enough. And you're like, but I am.
In what regard? To compete or to just...
Like, for example, when I was like 10, I think I was on a training camp and we had a day off. So we were at like a water park or something and disabled people got to go in free. And I was the only one who had to pay. And everyone else got to go in free and I was the only one who had to pay. And then like when I had applied for the blue badge, not that I needed the parking aspect of the blue badge, but there are certain times when I'd be like, if I have a trolley, like I'm not able to control a trolley, or like if I'm carrying things or if it's windy, like I can't control the door if it flies open.
It's better to have it than to go looking for it. Have it at least.
Yeah. And I got and I also needed adaptions to my car when I first started driving, and when you get a blue badge you get kind of I think it's like tax off to help you pay for your adoptions. And I got rejected, so I had to go into a room full of doctors who assessed me, and one of the doctors asked if I wore a prosthetic and I said no, and he was like, well, do you know, like if you wear a prosthetic no one would know you have two hands, no one would know you have one hand. Like you can get some really lifelike ones and no one would ever know you had one hand.
How old were you at this point?
17.
So you're like, yeah, I know.
Peak insecurity, like yeah, so there's many times like things like that, but the reason why the word disabled is so important is because like it is who I am. It is what I like. I'm not able to, like, the world isn't built for me. The world isn't built for people with disabilities. So like it's important to use that word because we're at a disadvantage because society hasn't created the world for people with disabilities.
Absolutely.
So like what else are you going to say? Oh, they're special. Jesus Christ, if someone called me special, I'd punch them in the face.
It's probably the society we live in now. I mean, when I was studying to be a teacher, it was like, you can't say this, you can't say that. And you're like, I don't want to offend anything, but I also don't want to be stupid enough to not call it what it is. And like, if you're happy and everyone else, that's the way, that's what we call it, then why not? But I remember just at the time, they were like, yeah, just implies they're not able. And I was like, but they are well capable of anything as well. It's just the term, I suppose. And
Yeah.
You mentioned there prosthetics. I know you're, again, here's me going back to the audiobook or the book I was doing a bit of creeping. You weren't a fan of them.
No.
Tell me about this story now in the grocery store. Or grocery store? I feel like you were talking about America.
Store.
Walmart?
The supermarket.
The supermarket with your mother. I thought this was a funny one.
Yeah, like my parents were really good because they wanted to always give me the option of having a prosthetic. And obviously when you're a kid, it's easier to get them wearing things young so that they get used to it and that they can learn how to use it when they're young. But like my mom would put like my prosthetic on me and like I would just always take it off. So one story is when she was like shopping out doing the big food shop and I was in the trolley and I had my prosthetic on. And I don't know, she was like wasn't paying attention and was like looking for something. And then she like moved on and all of a sudden she heard screaming and she was like, what is that screaming? And it was like two women were like at the freezer like looking through the peas or whatever, but I had thrown my prosthetic in the freezer and there's these two women being like, oh my god. My mom was so embarrassed.
I'd say your mum was like, I have to deal with this now. Were you a bit of a messer in general growing up?
Yeah, I think so. Like I have two brothers and a sister and I think one of my brothers is probably more of a messer than me, but
one?
No.
Middle child syndrome.
Yeah, middle child. Yeah. And yeah, I think we're all just a bit of messies. Like I love slagging people, and I love the thing is like when you're disabled as well, because it's something that people are a little bit afraid of. Okay. I take the piss with it a bit. Like yeah. Like people always ask if I need a hand. And like obviously. I'm like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, like, there's the dad jokes. I should have come up with that one. Damn it, I love a good dad joke.
I know, but you're not disabled, so you can't make the joke.
Yeah. Only Ellen can take the mick of herself. That's annoying. But a break. Do you swim anymore now at all?
Occasionally, like I'll swim if I if I get like a bit panicked and I'm like, oh, I really miss swimming, I'll go back swimming and I'll go for a swim, and then I'll be like, this was so much effort, I don't miss it.
Yeah.
Like there's so
why did I ever like this?
No, I do really love being in the water, but there's just so much involved with like getting wet and then having to dry your hair. So much effort.
My friend used to do swimming, and she didn't compete or anything after, or she was like 12, but she used to come into school in the morning after like 5 a.m. swims with wet hair.
So good wet hair.
And I was just like, how did she do this every single day? And she used to be eating her lunch like first thing in the morning as well, because she was starving.
Always starving, bottomless pit. I don't miss the wet hair.
Yeah, the wet hair can like obviously like this is first world problems, but yeah, that would drive me mad. I even find going into the water in a pool or whatever like that on holidays, I'm always like, the hair, how does Ellen Keane do it?
But even like when I was doing dancing, it would be so funny because like the spray tans that you get, like you're orange.
Yes.
And I would literally turn up to training because I was still training when I was doing dancing. So
stop it.
I was like, I'd rock up and I'd be absolutely like, I'd be fantastic. Like,
surely the chlorine would play havoc with that as well for patchiness and everything like that. No.
Oh, it was disaster.
So you were telling me, you were, because you did the Paralympics after dancing as well. So were you able to like do them side by side training wise at the show as well?
Yeah. I did kind of like what Reese did. So I was dancing 5 hours a day and then training 2 hours in the pool in the evening. But like it was just more of like a maintenance thing, and then I had I think I had Europeans or Worlds. No, I had Worlds later on, and I think doing that really helped because at the end of dancing, like you'll feel this now, like you feel the void. Whereas I was just like, I just want to go back swimming. I just want to go back competing. Like,
my last question, Ellen, what's next? I know you've done so many more, like your book, your Paralympics, everything like that. Your social media is thriving. Have you any plans for the future?
I have a few, but I don't think I'm allowed to say them.
Damn, I thought I sweet talked you.
Just watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space because there's plenty of space for Ellen Keane, and we're so happy to have you on today. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.